Hi, my name is Kelly Cheney. The title of my paper is Creating Confidence, Promoting Student Growth Through Creative Practice. So I wanted to kind of delve into the idea of confidence and what makes confidence, how we have confidence grow through our students, and just kind of sometimes that concern that we have with the creative process in general. The artwork that I created was called Where Confidence Grows. I wanted to do this kind of pop art silhouette to kind of represent the child. I actually used my own child in this picture. I have the color wheel that kind of wraps around the head, kind of creating that idea of complexity of emotions and how those kind of change, kind of using the color for that, kind of that idea of social awareness and self-management. We have layers kind of around that as well, kind of layers of stacks of paper to kind of show those different layers and them kind of radiating out from the student. I also wanted to add an element from my classes. So to do that, I had my students write something down that they felt like they were confident in on sticky notes. It could be whatever. They kind of put that onto the wall, and I kind of piece that into there, even mixing those into the different layers to kind of show, how that can kind of like be in different parts of maybe like a person's head or kind of like through their kind of personal connection. The key ideas that I noticed that kind of came about while researching this were the ideas of confidence. Obviously, that was the topic. Social emotional learning, so ESL, the CASTLE framework, which we'll talk about a little bit more in depth in a second, and kind of how that ties into the different relationships and community connections that we have. So the thing I found most relevant here was this diagram from CASTLE itself. And you can go to the framework here. They have all kinds of different videos and different things that you can kind of look at for their framework. But what really struck out to me was this diagram. And if you go to their site, they actually have like little things you can click on. We have a couple referencing, self-awareness and self-management and how you can manage your own emotions. We go into kind of moving that into a more social aspect where we have social awareness and then different relationship skills and how we can kind of pull those together, which lead to responsible decision making within the individual, right? So if we can kind of connect the self to community to then kind of problem solve and work on these decisions that we need to make. So again, works in art, works in other subjects as well. I also liked the rings here that they talk about because it's not just the classroom, right? So the connection between the teacher and the student is important, but it's also important to make sure that the schools feel connected just as much, right? We have those open communication lines between admin, even discipline, and building kind of a positive relationship there. Then it connects to the families, right? If we have our students that are feeling confident in themselves, confident with their teachers, we can then create that connection with families. Then it can kind of go out a little bit farther to even, making community connections. Maybe we can even pull art into some social awareness issues or, murals or something that kind of can benefit the community. So I really liked this diagram, and it really broke it down into really easily, dissectable parts of what, can help a community. Next are some artworks and artists that kind of came to mind while working on this. Again, I love the pop art style. You can see that with my artwork. We see that here with Shepard Fairey, still kind of relative to Southern California where I'm at. You can see his work all over the place, deals with graphic design, activism, used to kind of put messages out into the community. Now he kind of works more from a site. He has a lot of visual messaging, social awareness, promoting voice and influence. During marches we have here too, he'll put free downloads up that you can print to take to marches to kind of have that added visual element. Chantel Martin, we have spontaneous black and white drawings. Sometimes you have to just kind of go with the flow, go with what makes sense for you. Her big campaign is always, who are you? We see that poster here, you are you and are you you? So kind of questioning that a little deeper. So kind of sometimes, you sit down with a blank canvas, don't know what to do. Maybe you just need to do what you would do, right? Improvisation, kind of just, making your own personal, narrative and your own kind of discovery as you work through it. We also have Victoria Villasana. She is a Mexican-American artist who deals a lot with portraiture, and then adding the element of kind of stitching and embroidery kind of helps pull in some of those emotions, helps with identity, pulling color into the black and white photos to kind of make those extra little added elements or touches, has these, symbolic expressions with the designs that she uses, and also helps with self-expressionism. So some unanswered questions I have, I would say having some sort of measurable tool for confidence. Like, is there a way to kind of document that, do some more assessments on where students are at the beginning, maybe middle and end of a project or the year, how we could kind of work that in. What does it look like for diverse student populations? I have 9 through 12 in one class. I have, all kinds of different levels of skill. I have different demographics up to maybe 5 or 6 within one class. So what can we do to streamline this to make it relevant to all the populations? And then what does effective personal development or professional development look like to help combat low self-esteem and confidence? So what can we do to kind of give educators a tool to use this and look for this without it being a whole added workload to them? What can we do to kind of help them make these connections and make it still manageable for them? So those are some things I'd like to delve into more. And then again, my website here, it is still very much in the works. It's kind of a process I'm going through with this program, so don't judge it too harshly, but I do have my website that I'm starting to document and kind of present some of this work that I'm creating. So again, thank you for watching.